At the beginning of November, the Trump administration will be illegally ending payments to low-income families across the United States who participate in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP, also formerly known as food stamps. This program has existed in one form or another for 84 years, and it has had an overall incredibly positive effect on individuals, families, and society itself simply by curbing food insecurity. Despite this, the Trump administration announced that they would be cutting off payments to people starting on November 1st in order to punish them for the Republicans failing to reopen the government, which they run completely and which they shut down in part to stop the Democrats from releasing the files that seem like they probably proved that Donald Trump participated in Jeffrey Epstein's sprawling child sex trafficking network. Did you get all that? Yeah, so I guess like the tiny domino is that a billionaire started a pedophile ring and 30 years later, tens of millions of Americans go hungry. I know that in 2025, it may not technically be illegal for Donald Trump to do anything thanks to the Supreme Court. But yeah, in any previous year, this would be illegal. And so the leaders of many U.S. states are attempting to hold Trump accountable by suing him in order to try to force him to use SNAP's $5 to $6 billion contingency fund to continue to feed people as long as possible. Who knows if they'll succeed, but I mean, at least these lawsuits are helping to provoke outlets like the New York Times into conceding that, yeah, this is a completely unnecessary punishment that Republicans are visiting upon their own poorest constituents. Now, when you hear the news of people being cut off from the money that allows them to eat, you may assume that the one major result of this will be people starving to death, particularly poor children. And sure, that may very well happen, but the disappearance of this safety net will have much more far-reaching negative consequences than that. Currently, there are about 42 million people who rely upon SNAP to survive. The requirements vary state to state, but in general, anyone who makes a gross monthly income at or below 130% of the federal poverty level, which is about $33,600 per year, is eligible for SNAP. Most recipients, more than 62%, are families with children. About 40% are families with jobs, which means that many Americans are struggling not because they can't or won't find a job, but because those jobs aren't paying them a living wage. Still, many states require recipients to demonstrate that they are working or are trying to find a job before they're eligible. As you might expect concerning a nearly century-old social safety net program in a country that supposedly hates socialism, SNAP has been researched endlessly to ensure that it's worth it. And all of that research shows that not only is it worth it, but we would be better off if we would increase its funding and help more people who are eligible access that program. The research shows that SNAP lifts millions of people, millions of children, particularly out of poverty every year. In 2016 alone, that was more than 7 million people, including more than 3 million kids. And of course, fewer people below the poverty line means less stress on other social safety nets and reductions in crime and increased quality of life for everyone. The health outcomes of SNAP alone are an indisputable public good. Adults receiving SNAP have more positive self-assessments of their health status. They also miss fewer days of work because of illness, make fewer physician office visits, and have a reduced likelihood of demonstrating psychological distress. Children receiving SNAP report better health status than do their counterparts who are not recipients, and their households are less likely to have to sacrifice health care to pay for other necessary expenses. When compared with families who keep benefits, working families with children younger than 4 years who lose at least some of their SNAP benefits have a higher risk of negative health outcomes. Further, mothers who had access to food assistance during their pregnancy gave birth to fewer low birth weight babies. In a similar study, adults who were able to receive food stamps as young children had lower risks as adults of obesity and other conditions related to heart disease and diabetes. Another working paper using similar methods linked receiving SNAP as a young child with increased longevity and positive economic outcomes. Children on SNAP are even 18% more likely to complete high school compared to children in families that are eligible but who don't receive SNAP, of which unfortunately there are many. But adults, especially older adults, also see great benefits. Those who receive SNAP benefits are less likely to be admitted to a nursing home or to be hospitalized. More recent studies suggest that SNAP may slow cognitive decline in seniors, possibly by simply reducing their overall stress and allowing them to afford both food and their medications. What a crazy idea. Let's say, though, that none of that moves you. Let's say you don't care that SNAP means kids growing up to be healthier, better educated, more successful adults. You don't care that it means fewer seniors with dementia languishing in nursing homes. You don't care that it means fewer adults on the streets with untreated mental illness. You don't care that SNAP leads to less income inequality, which is inextricably linked with lower crime and better quality of life. You only care about one thing: bang for your buck. Well, great news. In June, Columbia University's Center on Poverty and Social Policy published the results of their analysis, which found that for every SNAP dollar that goes to families with children, society saves anywhere from $14 to $20. That's about as close to hitting the lottery as a government program gets. They found that cutting SNAP benefits would be economically devastating, driven by the decrease in children's lifelong health and earnings and the increase in their crimes committed. They found that a proposed decrease in SNAP benefits would lead to a proportional decrease in the future earnings of children in the program, with a corresponding decrease in their future tax payments, an increase in the death of babies, a decrease in children and parents' health and longevity, an increased cost of the legal system to take care of the increase in crime, increased healthcare costs, decreased payments due to decrease in children and parents' longevity, and an overall increased burden to taxpayers. So, whether you value other human lives, your own safety and comfort, or just cold hard cash, not only should we keep SNAP going, but we should increase its reach and close that gap that leaves millions of people hungry despite the fact that they already qualify for the program. Alas, that's something we're going to have to wait for another few years, at least. In the meanwhile, we can still help make a difference. And so I urge all of you to reach out to your local community to help out or to find help if you yourself need it. Your local food banks could use your donations, preferably money over that expired can of mystery meat in the back of your pantry. But you can also donate food. This Halloween, several communities are urging people to include some boring, shelf-stable snacks and food with their chocolate bars. Here in Oakland, there's a community-based effort to stock public refrigerators for neighbors in need. You can contribute to that or set up your own in your community. There are also restaurants in the Bay Area that are offering free or heavily discounted food to SNAP recipients who need it. Feel free to encourage your favorite local restaurants to do the same and promise to frequently eat there if they do. Make no mistake, this is going to be a horribly difficult time for our most marginalized friends and neighbors. But the answer to that, as is the answer to a lot of what's happening right now, is community organizing. If the Republicans won't keep us safe, we're just going to have to do it ourselves. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.